Hey there, and welcome. If you're a finance or accounting pro who's ready to take your workflow to the next level, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to do a quick start guide to Python and show you how it can become your secret weapon. So let's dive right in. First things first, let's set the stage by talking about a tool we all know the spreadsheet. You know the feeling, right? You're staring at a spreadsheet that's just buckling under the weight of all those rows. You're manually copying, pasting, and spending hours and hours on tasks that just feel like they should be automated. Honestly, it's the biggest headache for so many of us in this field. Now, this slide really tells the whole story. On the left, you've got the old way. You've got Excel. It's what we know, but let's face it, it hits a brick wall with big data and real automation. But on the right, you have Python, which is literally built from the ground up to solve these exact problems, automating your work, crunching huge data sets, and talking to all your other financial systems. So what is this new tool really? And how in the world do you get started with it? Let's break it down. At the end of the day, Python is just a programming language, but it just so happens to be perfect for the kind of work we do. It's famous for being easy to read, which makes it way easier to learn. And the best part? It's open source, which means there's this huge community of people building amazing tools specifically for finance and accounting. You're not on your own. Okay, but what does this mean for you day to day? Well, imagine automating your entire month-end variance report with just one click. Or think about pulling data directly from your company's database without having to ask IT for an export. Python makes that a reality. It lets you work with data that would make Excel freeze up and run analysis that goes way, way beyond a pivot table. And you don't need some super complicated, expensive setup either. Tools like Jupyter Notebooks are basically like a digital scratchpad. They let you write and run your code one little piece at a time, which is the perfect way to build and test a financial process step by step. All right, just like any new language, you've got to start with the basic vocabulary. So let's translate a few key Python words into concepts you're already familiar with. So the absolute basics are, well, they're really simple. You have numbers, you've got whole numbers, which are called integers, and numbers with decimals, called floats. You've got text, which Python calls a string, and then you have Booleans, which is just a fancy word for true or false. These three things are the fundamental building blocks for every logical test you already do in a spreadsheet. And this table is great because it shows how we group that data together. A list is just what it sounds like. It's like a column of account numbers in Excel. A tuple is almost the same, but it's locked in. You can't change it, which is perfect for a financial record that should never be altered. A set is all about uniqueness. It's great for getting a clean list of all your vendors with no duplicates. And finally, a dict, or a dictionary, is perfect for a structured record, like a customer file. Let's zoom in on that dictionary for a second because it's so useful. Think of it like a digital index card for one customer. On the left, you have the labels, which Python calls keys, things like account or name. And on the right, you have the data itself, the values. It's just a super organized way to handle records where every piece of information has its own specific place. Now, here's where things get really fun. The best part about Python is you don't have to build everything from scratch. There's an entire universe of pre-built toolkits, called libraries, that do all the heavy lifting for you. Think of these libraries like you're assembling your own data dream team. You've got Pandas, who's your expert data analyst. You've got Matplotlib, the visual storyteller who turns your numbers into beautiful charts. There's OpenPyXL, who's an absolute wizard with reading and writing Excel files. And Stats Models is your on-call statistician for when you need to do some really deep analysis. Seriously, if you learn just one library to start, make it Pandas. This is your workhorse for all things data. It lets you read, clean, pivot, and analyze data in a way that feels a lot like Excel, but on a scale you can't even imagine. We are talking about processing millions of journal entries in seconds, not sitting there waiting for your computer to catch up. And once Pandas has helped you crunch all those numbers, Matplotlib is how you tell the story. This is the tool you use to programmatically create any chart you need, from a simple bar chart of revenue trends all the way to complex visualizations for your cash flow forecasts. It brings your data to life. Okay, so we've talked about data types and these awesome libraries. Let's put the pieces together now and see how they can build a real simple automation workflow. We're going to walk through this in 4 simple steps. First, we'll set up our numbers. Second, we'll loop through our data. Third, we'll apply some business rules. And fourth, we'll package it all up into something we can use over and over again. So in steps 1 and 2, we're just getting our data ready. We assign our key financial figures to variables. Then we set up a loop. This is the core idea of automation. You take a list of things, like your chart of accounts, and you tell the computer, do this exact same thing to every single item on this list. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful. In step 3, we add the brains to the operation. This is where you use logic. It's basically a fork in the road. You ask a simple yes or no question, just like an I formula in Excel. Based on the answer, your script goes down one path or the other. This is how you embed your company's business rules right into the code. And finally, step 4 is where the magic really happens. We take all that data and all that logic and we bundle it up into a neat, reusable tool. This is called a function. Now, instead of rewriting the logic every time, you just call on your little custom-built tool. This is the heart of building automations that scale. Whew, okay, we just flew through a lot of information. So what's the big takeaway? Why does learning even a little bit of this stuff matter so much? Here's the bottom line. When you understand data types, you stop getting those frustrating errors when you import data. When you know how to use lists and dictionaries, you can suddenly process thousands of customer records in the blink of an eye. And learning to write functions and loops, that is the absolute key to getting rid of all that repetitive manual work during your month-end close. It gives you a level of speed and scale that Excel just can't compete with. So, as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this one question to chew on. Think about your own job, your own workflow. What's the first manual, repetitive, maybe even boring task that you do every week or every month? Because that right there, that's your first step beyond the spreadsheet. Thanks for watching.